Hey guys, welcome to another video, and today we'll be doing a Trailmakers showcase of some of my builds. Now, I've only put one Trailmakers video up so far, and that was a tutorial. So I decided to do something a little bit different and just showcase some of my builds. So we'll get right into it, and I'll show you a bunch of these builds. Now, the first build I ever made in Trailmakers was this. It was the first car I ever made. It's like an APC sort of thing. You might be surprised to know that I never played the campaign mode. So, yeah. Anyway, so kind of basic controls, a turret on top, WASD, and then two cannons. Cannons are set to alternate, so you have double fire rate. I wanted a good suspension, so you can see the double layered suspension, and it has a bunch of engines in there. So anyway, first car. Next, I'll show you some of the ones I have in the build slots. So if I go to the first build slot, I have a plane. Now the actual name of this is the Captain Corsair. And it's just a basic plane that I made. It has thrusters inside and a propeller. Guns, rockets, and bombs. Just a little basic thing. It also has it's got a pretty wide turning circle. It's got yaw and I forget what the E does. Anyway, oh yeah, the E and Q. So pretty basic plane. And if I go back down to the ground, just land here real quick, and I transform into this. This is more recent of a build than what I have. It's not been like very prettied up. It's got a lot of mechanical stuff in it, but I wanted to make a transforming car into a hover car because it's just I've never really used the hover pads before this, so it has basic controls, L for lights, and if I press space it starts hovering, and it just uses gyro steering and stuff. The real problem was getting the thruster on top, that big one, to keep it from nosing down. I used two the brakes too, the air brakes. I used two gyro stabilizers and a bunch of aero in the front to keep it up, those wings. And those wings also keep it from like falling off, and redirecting is also kind of difficult whenever you're in hover mode. So along with the gyros, there's quantum rudders and more aero, and the air brakes, of course. Okay, and then the next build I have is called the Sanskrit. It is a basic tank. So not the fastest, but it has a energy shield on top, so it's just like a basic combat tank. It's not too overpowered, but it is also not too weak either. So I have 4 mini tank cannons on the end, and you can't really see it because I don't have a locking thing. I have 4 mini tank cannons and an EMP. So there's EMP, and then the tank cannons are set to alternate to provide continuous fire. stuff like that. So I constantly have a bunch of firepower. And then last slot is a submarine. This is also pretty recent. It is called the Trident because, you know, 3 prongs, and now it has 3 tail fins. But anyway, it handles like a plane, and it is loaded with torpedoes. So, yeah, let me go do some deeper water. I haven't created very many boats, and that is the first submarine I have created. So, yeah, it's got 2 large propellers for propulsion, and I ran into the post. Let's keep going. And I ran into that post. Let me not run into the post, please. Thank you. Okay, going to deep water. It's got a turret on top. I mean on bottom, and I cannot get to the deep water. It is a submarine and not a boat, so it has trouble with not deep water. So let me go underwater now. It's got a turret on the bottom with mini torpedoes, and the rest are large torpedoes, so I can just launch a whole bunch of torpedoes. It's got some buoyancy control hooked into my X and Z, so I can just fine-tune it if I need to. You can go backwards, shift too, but I don't go backwards very often. Strafe, or not strafe, yaw, and I do have tractor beams as well. So, all in all, what I was mainly going for, I like to make my builds look both aesthetically pleasing and also functional, if I can. Although you have seen some more functional oriented and others more aesthetic. So this is my Trident submarine. So now if I go over here, show some builds I've got here. We'll start with these are mainly all combat builds. Here's an interesting one. It is a tank with a special ability that I call Fortress Mode. So it looks a little weird. For some reason it's really tall. But that's for a reason. It's got 2 rockets and a machine gun. And if I get to a flat area, this might be flat enough, you'll see why it has what's called Fortress Mode. So if I turn around backwards and I press the 1 button, it does this thing. And the thought behind it is the concrete walls, okay, it doesn't work perfectly every time, but the concrete walls are bulletproof. I can get out of Fortress Mode. But the concrete walls are bulletproof, and so if I put up a tower around me, then nobody can shoot me, except through explosive shots, because the splash damage can still hit me. So the thought behind it is machine gun shots, laser gun shots, they won't be able to hit me. So go ahead and let that go. It also has an energy shield to get in between the cracks, and it falls over a bunch sometimes. I still need to refine it some, but let's see if I can get it to not explode, and we'll try it. And yeah, there you go. And now you can see why the turret is so tall, so that way I can fire over the edge of my tower and I will not get hit, mostly. So there's that. And I do have a automatic concrete wall thing hooked up to a repeating NOR or XOR gate, something like that. So, and here's another one that might be interesting, and that is, well, here's the prototype first. It is the indestructible slab, and this is because this is me experimenting with what I call composite armor. And the armor on here is meant to withstand a ton of damage. So if I get out and I spawn in a build with machine guns, which would probably be this. I'll just spawn in this one. So this thing here has the composite armor, so if I shoot it as the cannons, normally a build like that would probably be like destroyed, but you can see just two heavy cannon shots would normally be enough to destroy a smaller build like this. But the main thing it protects against is machine gun fire. So let me get another one. This one is called the Dalmatian. It is a tank with giant machine guns, so it can fire indefinitely. So if I just leave it, and I can just keep it going the whole time. So if I try to aim at this, it takes a little bit for it to get through that armor. And it's because on the what I learned is that each of the blocks has different health ratings, and the highest health ratings for Trailmakers are anchor pins and weight blocks for their size. I forget how many shots it was, but I tested it, and anchor pins have insane health for their size. So this is a tank I made using the composite armor. It's layered like that, and it's pretty neat, because in an actual combat situation with a bunch of machine guns, it can actually take on some heavier builds. So if I get into this APC here and I drive, and you can see it's facing me, the armor is, so. And of course it wouldn't be sitting still, it'd be moving. So anyway, that's tank build I got. Here is a missile launcher I created that has a missile on it. I call it the Clover. I watched a YouTube video on it a long time ago. I forget who it's from, but you can see it when I launch it. It kind of spins, and the radius it spins, and the radius it has is detected by the sensors in front. Now, this does not use the GPS tracker that I showed in my previous Trailmakers video. It is a manual tracker, and it didn't really work for me. It just kept detecting the same thing over and over, detect ground or something else. And so instead, I just separated it, and I put it on a plane I showed you earlier, but that didn't work too well either. So anyway, moving on. There was the hovercraft here. It's another transforming build. All it has is a single flat cannon, but it's actually not a hovercraft. It just kind of looks like one. If I go down to the water, what it is actually filled with flotation devices. And so if I go in the water, you can see it kind of floats, but if I press shift, it transforms into a boat. So it's a mock hovercraft, not really a real, true hovercraft. So, speaking of boats, I've got one. It's called the Pico. And the Pico is in here, even though it's in the no weapons tab. So this tab still has a bunch of weaponized vehicles because I didn't realize they had weapons on them. Anyway, so it's this little boat. It's got a single machine gun on the turret and a flare, and it's just meant to look nice. It's got antenna. It's also got a camera, and I actually created some concept art and then went from my concept art to building it in Trailmakers. And that's just something I like to do because I like to draw. So then if I go ahead, and here's an interesting one, and I will go back to the land for this. It is a turret, a stationary turret, but it's a unique one because this turret is a disc turret. Call it Argon. And you see it's pretty fancy looking weapons here, and what it is actually mine launchers, because mines can get pushed by the resource collector, harvester things. Anyway, so if I hold it, click, and it turns on all those lights, and it launches the mines, and they're alternated to increase fire rate again, but that isn't saying much because they are extremely slow, and I can just shoot it wherever I want. And then I can just keep spamming the T button and it will go away. So there's that. And as I showed in my previous tutorial video, I've got the cop and escape, and it works a lot better. This uses a GPS tracker. It works a lot better on something that isn't the map for like the testing map. So you can see this thing is tracking pretty good, and it's a lot of fun to try and escape from. So if I go up here, it's actually following me, and because it's faster than me, then it's actually stays with me and can still follow me even if I go on tight pathways, because it's usually close behind. So if I go back down, it's going to track me, and it's stuck on the rocks. So let me just repair and get out and detach it again. And so if you want to see a good system for how to make this, be sure to look at that video for the tracking system, and then maybe you can also make something like that. My next plan for making something like that is probably going to be a VTOL police gunship or something that tries to shoot cannons at you while you're running. So then you have more police interactions. So there's that. And now Here is a spaceship that I made. I made a bunch of spaceships. This is called the Paladin. It is a mouse-controlled spaceship inspired by Star Citizen, and it's got a rocket turret and 3 laser blasters and 2 of the grenade launchers on it. And so I take off. It's got a shield and automatic landing gear, and you can see wherever I move my camera, it follows. I could also, if you guys want a video on the mouse controlled aiming system, be sure to leave a comment, and I'll see what I can do about that. It also has automatic like thrusters, inertia stoppers, thrusters, and that means that if I leave it, it will not move. Like, the thrusters will keep it in place. And another thing, it also has automatic gravity compensation, so the thrusters will change their strength based on how much gravity there is. So I can take off in no atmosphere, or I can take off in 2 times gravity. So, oops. There's that. And let's see, what else do we have here? Here is a amphibious tank of sorts. Call it the turtle, because it kind of has that look to it. And it's not the fastest, but it's got a turret on the top and actually some torpedoes down there. So if I go into the water, you can see that it floats on the water, and it took a lot of weight management. And I can press space to go. A lot of weight management to get it to float in the water. Right now I'm just kind of riding on the surface, but there you go, you can see it's floating. And then I can launch the torpedoes. And so yeah, there's that. And then we'll go back into build, and I'll show you. Oops. Show you the. Here's a random creation that I have. It's a ball. It literally, that's all it is a ball and a turret. So it rolls for one. And also it does not like, because of how large the pieces are, and the Trailmakers physics don't like it very much. But it does roll. Let's see if I can stop freaking out here. Alright, and then if I hit the E, it transforms. It opens up, and then you can see there's miniguns inside. So, and then I can go back, and I can start rolling again. It's just something really strange, and it's funny to see people's reaction to that in multiplayer. So, then there's some more spaceships. This was a thing I got. It's actually, the concept art wasn't mine, so but I did see some concept art, and I created the Trailmakers version of that. And this one does not have the automatic gravity type stuff. So I do need to change the gravity to not to that session to be 0 gravity. So then I can take off. This one is more of an aesthetics thing. Handles like a plane, fighter, machine guns, and a railgun of sorts, which is actually just 2 EMPs and a rocket launcher. So yeah, it also has yaw, because I like adding yaw to these things just for functionality's sake. It does have automatic landing gear. And along with this, I go down here and here. I have a few more spaceships. I have the Shark. It's a tiny fighter. Another aesthetic build, really. And oh, I just ran into a cliff. It kind of handles like a fighter plane, but it also doesn't work without zero gravity. So it also does not have auto aiming lasers, which makes it kind of impractical. So again, with the aesthetics thing. Then going back down here to the ground, I've got a cargo spaceship. And this is the Hammerhead. So it has landing gear. It's not on the ground yet because of zero gravity, but it usually can be able to take off from zero gravity. So you can see I put in a gyro to counteract the downwards tilt because of the thrusters and the mass is offset. So I think it looks pretty cool. It's another one of the aesthetic ones, but it does have rockets. And an interesting thing about it is it has brakes. Those quantum rotors come out and fold, and so it gives it space brakes, basically. Also have an EMP. I have a combat mode, which just gives it a shield. And the interesting thing is that 1 and 2 open up the cargo hatches. Inside, there's actually some sensors, so if there's anything in these cargo hatches, it turns on the lights. Back there you can see those ship lanterns right there, and those turn on when there's something in there. So that's pretty neat. Okay, now show some mechs, and I'll start off with the prototype here. If you've played War Robots, which I play War Robots Frontiers on my channel, but if you play War Robots, oh wait, the gravity, you switch to gravity. You might recognize the name of the Rajan. I think that's how you pronounce it. And the Rajan is a four-legged robot that can go into, has a special ability to turn into a sentry and puts up a shield. And what this does is it's a head based off of the Rajan, puts up a frontal-facing shield, just for fun, I guess, because it's kind of impractical. Not a lot of use to that for one that doesn't block the whole body. But I did make a tank with that, and it does the same thing that the Rajan bot does in the game, which is also, these are supposed to be thunders, and that prevents movement. I'm pressing W, S, and then D and A work just fine because it's not actually moving, but I cannot move. Like, I'm trying to press the W button and it does not move. So and then if I put down the head, I can then move again. So so technically that isn't a mech, but then we actually get into the mechs that I have, because this one has tank tracks. It's called the Fallon, which has a very similar name to the Feral spaceship. I was like, wait a second. So, and this has a massive rocket launcher and energy gun, so You see lots of firepower here, and all the rockets are staggered, so it does even more damage. So there's that. Then I have another mech from War Robots called the Carnage. These were early prototypes I made, and it had custom legs. I tried to make, did not work the best. I wanted the ability to speed up too, but you can see the legs are kind of janky, so it didn't work out too well. I kind of left it on the back shelf for a while, and then I found a blueprint on the workshop, and shout out to a Curly Fry for that. So these legs here, and for digigrade legs, and I basically put them on the Carnage that I made, and adjusted sort of for the weight. There is one thing to get the authentic like War Robots turret rotation. You can see this walks a lot better. To get that turret rotation, it actually puts a counter torque spin on the actual legs, the base. So I didn't want that, so I'm still trying to figure out how to fix that. This does have a working special ability. You can see in the bottom left, my speed is about 15 miles an hour, 16, and if I press the space, I speed up to about 30, 35, and then I can stop again. So yeah, and then another mech that I'm working on is the Typhoon, and this one was just a mech built around these guns here, just the aesthetic of the guns, and the bars on the outside were there to try to keep the bottom half, put a counter torque gyro spin to counter it, the spin of the head. So that's what that is. It still doesn't work, but like I said, this is a prototype. So then the most recent mech that I've made is called the Slate. It has a huge gun on the side. It is a sniper mech. Not the fastest. Again, it uses those digigrade legs. But it does have that huge gun got an ability to launch, because it has a piston cannon system, so it makes it launch a lot farther than a traditional cannon would. So if I launch it, it also has an EMP in there, so you can see how far those shots go, and the recoil turns the whole robot. So I'll hold it down and it just fires like that. So so far this is one of the best, I guess, mechs of mine. Just that whole cannon thing makes it a pretty good sniper. So anyway, I've got the few logic systems. I got a tracked missile launcher. You can annoy people in servers with this, and each of these rockets is controlled independently, or it can be, and you can see I can enable missile launch mode, but you can launch multiple at a time, like a whole side at a time, and they control together. So then you can have multiple rockets on the same place. You can see. So I can do on buttons 4, 5, 6. I can launch these 3 rockets and then control it. And then if I don't have any more rockets on my missile launcher, I can actually press space and it'll explode in midair. So that's an interesting build I have. Then I have another aesthetic build here. It's just a truck. And with a working tailgate. Just trying to use the hood blocks and stuff. And then somewhere in here where I have the Vernon. Going back, I forgot this mech. This is another mech that I created concept art for, and I built it off concept art. It actually uses the bug mech base. I adapted it a little bit. So of the templates that in Trailmakers, this is actually the uses that base, and it has 3 flamethrowers. And it does kind of break the shield. They go up and down, and then it actually has a mine launcher, but I did not realize how far the mine launcher would shoot with the large resource clicker thing. So when I deploy a mine, it actually shoots all the way across the map. And then it actually has hidden tank cannons in that only fire whenever I open up the visor there. So yeah, that's pretty neat. Then probably do maybe 2 or 3 more. Here is the trophy truck that I made. It's not the fancy loads of suspension in it, like all these servos and hinges and all that. Yeah, it still gets pretty much the same result. So all it is it's a set of 1 hinge and 1 suspension piece, and then the front again with the 1 hinge and 1 suspension piece. And as a basic trophy truck, it actually does very well suspension wise. So you can see suspension flex there. I mean, it's not perfect, of course. Trailmakers physics is Trailmakers physics, but you can kind of see the springiness. Probably be better to I just like seeing the flex on it, so it'd probably be better to up the strength, the dampening on these suspension and hinges and stuff like that. But for me, it works good, and I can just kind of jump off of things like that. Oop. And yeah, so there's that one. I've got a motorcycle here, version 1, version 2, and here's a snowmobile, because this is actually the first creation that wasn't a car. It's just a little snowmobile, just a small little build. Having fun, and I was trying to figure out a way to use the skis, so, and the tiny track block. So then last 2 builds I'll showcase is the puffer here. Again, an aesthetic creation. It is actually a underwater research vessel. Has a tractor beam and a bunch of underwater stuff. So if I go to the water here and I go under the water, you can see that it has propellers on it. So then I can move around under the water, and that seat, the submarine seat there, of course lets me stay underwater. So pretty neat. Just a little small little vehicle here, and it just cool for going underwater and looking at the places, parts of the map underwater people don't normally see. And then if I go back to the surface and show you the last build, kind of an older build of mine, and that is a miniature dune buggy. So small, has some auto stabilization, pretty fast. It's got some boost. It's got actually some turn signals. Don't ask me how long that took, but as one of my first creations, I feel like it's pretty neat. And just the roll cage to keep you from falling out when you're going fast and you flip over or whatever. So that was a build showcase. I for sure did not get through all of my builds, but I did get to show a few. So if you want to see more Trailmakers videos or tutorials on how to build some things, just let me know, and hope you enjoyed the video. I'll see you next time.